Hello, everyone. This is Galen Wixson, President and CEO of the Lubbock Symphony, and welcome to our latest installment of ClefNotes here on Classical 105.7. And thanks, Classical 105.7, for hosting this program. We are so pleased to bring this to you, this inside look at the Lubbock Symphony, our music, and how we operate. And today we have a special guest with us, a violinist, a second violinist, actually, in the Lubbock Symphony, Cassidy Forehand. Hi, Cassidy.
Hi, Galen. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's so great to have you here. We're just going to have a great conversation. Before we get started, though, I want to remind our listeners we have one more concert coming up on June 7th at the Buddy Holly Hall. It's The Concert, a tribute to ABBA. It will be a group coming here from Denmark to perform with the Lubbock Symphony, all of ABBA's great hits. I think it's going to be a really fun night, so please come and join us June 7th at Buddy Holly Hall, 7:30 p.m. To get tickets, visit our website, lubbocksymphony.org, or give us a call, 806-762-1688. So, Cassidy, I was reading through your bio, but we're going to pretend here that I don't know anything about it. So, you grew up in Abilene.
Yes, I'm from West Texas.
Yeah?
Grew up there. I started playing the violin there.
Mm-hmm. Who did you study with in Abilene when you were smallish?
So my closest mentor that I had throughout a lot of my educational journey was Darcy Radcliffe. Mm-hmm. She was the head high school orchestra director in Abilene, and so she's kind of the one that shaped me the most as a violinist when I was young.
Now, did Abilene have a youth orchestra program?
So I was actually mostly in the public school program. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The youth orchestra program came a little bit later after I graduated.
Oh, okay.
But I was also in a fiddle program through my high school, and I got to experience gigging around town, doing a little bit of touring, kind of got to dip my toes.
How old were you when you started this?
So I started playing when I was 11, and I started more seriously fiddling, as they would say, about 14.
14? So you were being a professional musician at 14 years old?
A little bit, yeah.
So you're pretty used to this whole music profession as a career?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed, because I've been in it so long, it's kind of just become a part of who I am.
Yeah. I'm looking at you going, so long. How long can it be? I mean, we're Now, so right now, you are at Texas Tech University.
Yes.
You've already finished your master's, though.
Yes.
And you're seeking your doctorate?
Yes. So I did my master's at Texas Tech, and I just finished the second year of my doctorate at Tech. So I'm right in the middle of that degree.
So that's a 4-year or 3-year program?
3 to 4, depending on,
your dissertation or DMA, whatever your recital requirements are. And an interesting bit that I saw that you attended Belmont University in Nashville.
Yes.
Now, if everybody here has watched PBS at any time during Christmas, you know that Belmont puts on an amazing Christmas program every year on PBS. Were you involved in that?
Yes, Christmas at Belmont. It's one of my favorite memories from doing my undergraduate at Belmont. So I did the PBS production every 2 years, so I was able to do it twice.
Is that a select group that you rotate in and out?
So it depends on the ensemble that you're in. I was in the symphony orchestra at Belmont all 4 years, and so that group was pretty consistently in the production. But there were also a bunch of vocal groups, bands, things like that kind of made the whole production.
Yeah, if you've seen the Texas Tech's Ignite program, I would put it on that scale for sure. I mean, they load up that stage with singers, orchestra members, soloists, everything. It's
very similar.
What else was special about Belmont?
I think that at Belmont, I really enjoyed not only getting to become a more serious classical violinist, but I was also able to study a lot of non-classical styles. Oh. So the way that they divided things at Belmont was you would take classical, violin lessons, and then there was a commercial music program. So while I was a classical major, I was able to take what we called commercial violin lessons. So I was able to learn things like Celtic, bluegrass, jazz, things like that. So I had 2 violin lessons really every year. So I really liked being able to kind of learn all sorts of different styles.
Were they also training you in studio playing or studio time?
Yes, so they actually have classes at Belmont about recording technology, things like that. Since I was a classical major, I didn't take quite as many of those classes, but there's a big audio engineering program there, so there's students learning how to mix and record, things like that. So as students, we would be able to participate in a lot of those things.
Interesting. How cool is that? And then also you took a turn at Broadway. Was that? give me a little bit more information on your Broadway career here.
Yes. So I actually was a sub on the national Broadway tour of Anastasia
Nice.
a couple years ago. So they had a 2-year-long tour, and I didn't do the whole tour, but a friend of mine from my undergrad was the lead violinist on that tour. And since the touring violinists are allowed time off, and so when he requested time off, he needed a sub. So I was able to sub for about a week of shows in Ohio. So I was able to go up there and fill in, and it was really fun.
Now, is that the Disney movie Anastasia?
Yes, it's
and
the same
so
story.
that was adapted for Broadway, or is it the other way around?
I think the movie came first, and then it was the
Okay.
Broadway tour. Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah, it was a lot of
And how
fun.
long did you do that?
It was about a week and a half that I was
okay.
up there. Yeah.
Okay, how fun. And so it was in New York?
It was in Ohio. So
Oh,
this
in
is the
Ohio,
national
that's right.
tour. So
Yes.
they would kind of go around. They came to Lubbock, actually.
Oh, how about that? How about that? Okay, so back to Texas Tech. You're studying with Dr. Boyle, Dr. Annie Boyle?
Yes.
And she's fantastic.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I hear this so consistently among her students.
Yes.
I'm so proud that you're able to study with her. What are your aspirations after Texas Tech?
So I think that right now, of course, I'm focusing on becoming the best violinist that I can, and also while learning some skills about research and teaching and things like that. And I really love teaching. It's a big part of how I've kind of found myself as a violinist. So I know that teaching will be some part of something.
And you're teaching now, right?
Yes.
I see your T-shirt here. It says Friendship Orchestra.
Yes.
So that you must be at Friendship Schools.
Yes, I'm a supplemental teacher down there. Actually, Darcy Radcliffe, who was my teacher in Abilene, is now up here in Lubbock
How
teaching
about
that
that?
program. So it's really cool to be able to work
That's a great.
in that. Yeah, so I've really gotten to fall in love with teaching. I have a small little studio right now. So I look forward to being able to grow that.
Yeah.
And also continue performing. That's another thing that I love.
I love the small world that we live in. And there was one other teacher that was interesting to me at Belmont, Elizabeth Small.
Yes.
I mean, she's really well known.
Yes, she was my classical instructor.
Yeah. How is she to work with?
She was great. She's very demanding. So I think that she taught me a lot of discipline and kind of helped me to become more refined of a classical violinist.
Okay.
And she kind of got me ready to then come here to Lubbock and study with Professor Boyle.
It's always interesting to me to talk to young musicians. They say their teachers are tough. I mean, I think that listeners will find it very surprising that it's not just kind of come in, play, get some advice, and out the door you go. It's a demanding kind of. Were you nervous for lessons sometimes?
Yes, it's definitely something that I've kind of had to learn to get into the flow of. So as far as lessons, we have a 50-minute lesson or a 1-hour lesson per week, and that's just a snippet of the time that we're spending with our instrument
That's
and with
right.
our literature. So we're expected to spend hours a day practicing and working through our orchestra music and our chamber music and things like that.
Yeah.
And then when you go to your lesson, that's kind of when you ask questions, figure out some things that you maybe don't understand. Your professor can introduce new ideas to you.
It's always amazing to me that teacher could see right through it if you did not practice
Yes.
that week. You're faking it.
They can, yes. There's no hiding.
Okay, so there was one other thing I heard about you, and that is you traveled someplace a long way away from Lubbock to see Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Are you like the ultimate Taylor Swift fan?
I don't know about ultimate, but I am a big Swiftie.
Yeah?
I've listened to her music since I was young. And I was backpacking Europe this summer. I love to travel. And I actually was going to be in a city, Zurich, the same weekend as her concert. So that's kind of how that ended up happening.
How long ago was that?
It was this past summer, so
No
2024.
That's great. I'm glad you got to do that in a very interesting place.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very beautiful.
All right, so at the Lubbock Symphony, you play the second violin.
Yes.
Did you ever want to play first violin? Do you aspire to be a second violinist? What is this? Let's start over. For our listeners, there are two sections of violins on stage. You'll see them listed in the program book: Violin 1, Violin 2, and give us a little bit of background. Why are there two sections of violins, first of all?
So the two sections within the violin section each have distinct parts. So you'll have the first violins that are the ones sitting on the end. They'll all be playing one part, and then the second violins where I sit is going to be in the middle. And so there's 6, 8, 10 people playing that part. And as far as the material that they're playing, sometimes the second violin acts in a supporting role melodically with the first violin. So if the first violins have a really prominent melody, the second violins will maybe play the same melody, maybe lower or maybe in harmony. And they also can act as a supporting role in playing something like that the violas play or the cellos play. So maybe something more rhythmic, something to support the harmony. So it's really, there's a lot of different buckets that we can pull from.
Yeah, so think Johann Strauss, in chung, in chung, in chung.
Yes,
You'll
we
be
do a
playing
lot of
the
that.
offbeats, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, though, I mean, the literature in itself isn't necessarily easier.
No, the main difference is that it's lower. It's in a lower register, so that can sometimes be perceived as easier. But as far as the rhythms and the things that we're playing, it's pretty on par with a lot of the
Right.
things that the first violins have.
Right, and so you're going into it, let's say you're going into an audition for a major symphony orchestra, and the second violin audition, they have that audition list. So the audition list will have a solo, it'll have a number of excerpts, and then some sight reading. That means reading without any prior rehearsal or
Yes.
practice. But that music isn't necessarily easier than a first violin audition, right?
Right. The excerpts that we play for a lot of these orchestral auditions are pretty standard, and so it doesn't matter if you're taking a first violin or a second violin audition. It's a lot of times the first violin excerpts that you'll play for the audition, but the music that you'll play in orchestra would just be a little bit different.
Right, right. And I think it's really fascinating to see an orchestra at the very high level orchestras. So, New York, Houston, Chicago, Dallas, San Francisco, those orchestras, if you watch them and you watch the second violin section and the first violin sections, what strikes you first when you hear those big sections together?
I think, of course, the first violins have the melody that sticks out to you a lot of the time. So watching as an observer, the first violin sticks out a lot. But I think that the second violin section is one that you can always see that they're having a lot of fun in that section. And that's one thing that I really like as a player who's been in the second violin
You can be a little more
section.
relaxed, maybe, because you're not up
little
there in the
bit.
stratosphere.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So again, going back, what are your aspirations after Lubbock? What do you want to do ultimately?
So I think ultimately, I'm kind of paving my own path right now, still figuring out what that looks like specifically, but I do love teaching. So whether that be in a university position somewhere or having a private studio, I think that that's one of my main aspirations, as well as continuing performing with orchestras like the Lubbock Symphony and beyond in other cities.
And you've been with us for a while now at the Lubbock Symphony. How many years have you played with us?
Yeah, I just finished my 4th season.
Wow. Good. So it's come. That goes by fast.
It does.
Do you have any favorite memories? Any favorite repertoire?
So my first concert with Lubbock Symphony was right when I moved to Lubbock to start grad school. It was Beethoven 9.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was
and
during the pandemic, wasn't it?
It was right after. So I finished up my undergrad during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So a lot of the main performances that kind of close out your undergraduate study didn't happen for me. So I came to Lubbock really eager to get performing again. So that Beethoven 9 concert was one of the first chances in multiple years.
Was that also the one we had Peter Fisher's commission?
I think it was DJ Spar,
DJ
maybe?
Spar's commission.
Yes.
That's right. We did 2 different commissions very close together.
Yes.
DJ's was outstanding. It was for our 75th anniversary.
Yes. So that was my first concert with Lubbock Symphony. So that one sticks out. It's very memorable.
And what was amazing was we did Beethoven 9, a big orchestra,
Yes.
huge audience, and it was right after the pandemic. It was so joyous just to be able to do it together again.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
It was amazing. Any other things that stick out while you've been here?
So I always love when we get to play the romantic symphonies. So like whenever we've done works by Mendelssohn, Brahms, Tchaikovsky, all of those. The Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto this past season was a lot of fun.
And I think listeners in Lubbock enjoy the fact that we do play a lot of what we call war horses. Those really big blockbuster orchestral traditional pieces that when you think of symphony music, this is what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Because we are in a smallish market and we only have a few concerts, we have to sort of select those pieces that will be attractive to our audiences and get them in the hall. We do try to sprinkle in some adventurous work from time to time. And of course, we always want to surprise our audiences with, Kristen Chenoweth and Boyz II Men in the Star Wars movie. So it is a great opportunity to perform. Cassidy, Forehand, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you.
And I know our listeners have enjoyed it as well. For everyone, again, on June 7th, we will have The Concert, a tribute to ABBA, at Buddy Holly Hall at 7:30 p.m. Give us a call, 806-762-1688, or visit our website, lubbocksymphony.org. Thank you for listening to ClefNotes. I'm Galen Wixson, President and CEO of the Lubbock Symphony. We'll see you soon.